We'll go ahead and get started and then we'll continue to let some attendees in. But hi everyone, and welcome to the Future of B2B Marketing, Emerging Tactics and Trends hosted by Sagefrog Marketing Group. We are excited to be back this year with an experienced panel of B2B marketing leaders here to discuss the results from our 2023 B2B Marketing Mix Report and share their plans for this year. My name is Noelle Roque, and I'm the Business Development Specialist here at Sagefrog, and I will be serving as your moderator for today's event. Thank you for joining us this morning or afternoon, depending on where you're tuning in from. As we wait for some others to join, please feel free to introduce yourself if you haven't already and where you're located in the chat. And as I mentioned, we have a terrific lineup of marketing leaders on our panel for today's event. But before we go ahead and introduce them, let's take care of a few housekeeping items. First, today's session will be recorded and sent right to your inbox tomorrow, so you can either rewatch or share with your team as needed. We will also include a copy of our report and a few other resources that you may find useful for your strategic marketing planning. We'd also like for today's event to be as interactive as possible, and we encourage you to send any of your questions or comments in the chat throughout the event. During our Q&A session, we will address all of your questions, whether they were pre-submitted or asked live during today's event. And last but certainly not least, please stay tuned until the end for a chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card. So before we get started, let's take a look at the agenda for today. So we're going to kick off the conversation by discussing the survey methodology from our Marketing Mix Report and provide some background information for those of you who may not be familiar with it. Then we'll bring in our panel to discuss objectives, budgets, top sources of lead gen, and emerging tactics for 2023. We'll then conclude our session with our giveaway, live Q&A session, and some important takeaways for your marketing plan. All right, let's go ahead and meet our panel of experts. So today I am joined by Sagefrog CEO and co-founder Mark Schmuckler, VP of Marketing at CluePoints, Catherine Ditzler, and Marketing Manager at Andessa, Carrie-Ann Geist. Catherine, I'll hand it over to you first to introduce yourself and your company.
Great. Thank you so much, Noelle. I appreciate the introduction and welcome everybody. It is a pleasure to be joining you all virtually today. And I see in lots of the welcome messages, we have people from all around the world, which is very exciting. My name is Catherine Ditzler, and I'm the VP of Marketing at CluePoints. I have worked in the B2B space for over 15 years, with most of my career being in the life science industry for cutting-edge technology firms. At CluePoints, we provide pharmaceutical companies and contract research organizations with risk-based quality management and data quality oversight solutions to help identify and mitigate risks in their clinical trials to, in turn, achieve better quality data faster. We are also the first organization in our industry to bring this technology to market and have continued to innovate. So naturally, our marketing has also been innovative and unique, which for me makes it super fun. So thank you guys for joining us, and Carrie-Ann, over to you.
Hey, thanks, Catherine. I appreciate it. All right, good afternoon, everyone. It is so wonderful to be here today and to be joining you virtually as well. My name is Carrie-Ann Geist, and I am the marketing manager at Andessa. I have nearly 25 years of experience in marketing and advertising, with about 16 of that being in B2B marketing. At Andessa, we are the leading employee-owned provider of policy lifecycle solutions for the life insurance and annuities industry. We help our carriers or brokers, key stakeholders and participants pursue their strategic sales opportunities and also help them successfully navigate market change. We are headquartered in Allentown, Pennsylvania, right outside of Philly, and we are excited to be celebrating our 40th anniversary this year. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Mark.
Thank you, Carrie-Ann. Hello, everyone. I am Mark Schmuckler, the CEO and co-founder of Sagefrog Marketing Group. Sagefrog is a full-service B2B marketing agency headquartered in Doylestown with offices in Philadelphia, Princeton, and Boston. Sagefrog was co-founded in 2002, so we've been in business for 20 years serving healthcare, technology, industrial, and business services clients.
Great. Thanks, Mark. Well, thank you all so much for joining today. And without further ado, let's dive into our 2023 Marketing Mix Report. So this is the 16th edition of Sagefrog Marketing Group's annual Marketing Mix Report, a resource that has become a valuable year-end tool for modern B2B marketers. And the insights you'll find in this report summarize the results of our recent marketing mix survey, which seeks to gather the opinions and experiences of marketing professionals across several B2B industries, including healthcare, technology, industrial, and business services. And our goal with this report has and always will be to forecast and discover the top B2B marketing tactics and trends to help marketers make informed investments as they plan their budgets and marketing programs for the year ahead. So then getting into the survey methodology, our 2023 marketing mix survey was administered to B2B marketers across several industries and roles over the course of 1 month. The survey consisted of 23 questions varying from multiple choice, response box, ranking, and yes or no question types. And this year we received 940 responses, which was a record high for the number of respondents over the last 16 years. So we're super excited about that. And we found that 43% of those respondents were either in a manager or a director role, followed by coordinators and specialists at 25%. And then in terms of industries, the majority of our respondents work in marketing and advertising, followed by software and tech. So now that we have an understanding of what the marketing mix report is and how it can benefit you, let's bring in our panel and jump into our first topic, marketing objectives. So we asked respondents to rank the following marketing objectives in order of importance for this year, and the results were as follows. Revenue and conversions was the top objective, followed by client retention, website traffic, brand awareness, and then lead generation. And it comes as no surprise that revenue and conversions are a top priority, as increased revenue is the ultimate end goal for sales and marketing teams. But what's really interesting is that client retention seems to be more important than other objectives in 2023. We have reason to believe that this could have been influenced by lower retention rates seen throughout 2022. And last year, brand awareness and lead gen were top of mind for B2B marketers. And while both are inevitably essential marketing objectives, it appears they are now taking a backseat to revenue, conversions, and retention. So panelists, how would each of you rank the following objectives, and how do you plan on accomplishing your top objective for this year? Mark, why don't you kick this one off?
Sure, Noelle. Well, first of all, I'd like to say that today I'll be speaking on behalf of Sagefrog's internal marketing efforts. And Sagefrog's top objectives for 2023 are client retention and lead generation. We're putting a lot of effort in client retention this year. For example, we're increasing our management check-ins to ensure that clients are happy. And of course, lead gen is always a priority for us, and it will continue to be in 2023.
And I guess I could share my perspective as well. So on my end, I would say my top focus is revenue and conversions, mainly because I always look at marketing as a growth function to the business. So while all of these other objectives are definitely key to my marketing strategy, if they're not contributing to the overall revenue of the business, I'm going to need to pivot. So I know with a smaller team myself, it's very easy to get lost in the day-to-day tactical activities that marketing produces, as I'm sure you guys can all relate to on this webinar today. But if we continue to ask ourselves the question, will what I'm doing help contribute to the revenue target, whether it be this year or in the future, then we're doing the right thing and it helps us prioritize. So for me, that's my number one. And Carrie Ann, how about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Catherine. When I look at these results, same as what Noelle and Mark said, and Catherine, revenue and conversions are always top business goals for us. And so with that being a business goal, it also is a marketing goal. We're always focused on revenue growth. For us, in our business, you have to keep in mind that it takes about 2 to 3 years for us to fully convert a lead to a client. So this is a very long sales cycle. When I think of the top marketing objectives to continue this growth, mine are similar to Mark's, lead generation and client retention for 2023. So when I look at lead generation as our top objective, it focuses on bringing new qualified leads, but also efforts to nurture them through the sales cycle because of that sales cycle being so long. And then in this year, we will have a fully integrated campaign as well. With some highlights here, just focusing on more in-person interactions at conferences, which I'll talk about later, thought leadership opportunities through our content marketing, leveraging our strategic partners, which is so important, and increasing our digital efforts and spend. When I shift to client retention, It's always been a focus for us in our business. I think that's probably similar to all of our businesses that are, we service our clients. But this year, we will finally be back in person with our clients and partners. We do a biannual client forum conference that basically allows our clients and partners and ourselves to come together to encourage networking, share ideas, trends, and then talk about our technology roadmap and innovations. So, with that client retention, similar like what Mark was saying about how they have more manager touch points, we've actually are putting a focus on adding some strategic account executives to our client relationships. So they will support expanding our books of business and meeting with our clients more frequently. So marketing is going to support these teams with all of the go-to-market elements, things that they need for their conversations and in-person meetings, and then will help with some targeted campaigns to reinforce their conversations and their offerings.
Great.
So Noelle, I'll turn it back to you for the next one.
Thank you. Thank you all for your input. As we know, marketing objectives are always top of mind starting out a new year, and it's really interesting to hear, which objectives each of you are making a priority for this year. So then moving on to our next highly anticipated topic, we have marketing budgets. And for the past 4 years, marketing budgets have been on the rise. Last year, 62% of marketers reported that they expect their budget to increase in 2023. However, now that the recession has made an impact, we believe that more budgets may be taking a cut this year. And in terms of where the budget is being spent, 33% of marketers allocated part of their budget to in-person trade shows and events in 2022, which was a major change compared to the year prior. Sales and marketing materials were also a top area of spend, while twice as many marketers dedicated their budget to strategy and planning tactics, direct marketing, and video marketing compared to last year. And these trends suggest a return to physical marketing events and an increase in online marketing tactics. And while that does include social media, it's clear that other tactics like website development and search engine optimization are higher priorities. So let's go ahead and get our panelists' thoughts on these results and hear about their budget plans for this year. So panelists, how has your marketing budget changed? And where do you plan to allocate most of your budget in 2023? Carrie-Ann, why don't we start with you for this one?
Okay, great. Thanks, Noelle. Yeah, I would just say overall, from the last 2 years that I've been with Andessa, our marketing budget has increased. But if I look at last year, it was a very unique year for Andessa's marketing spend. We spent the majority of our budget on rebranding and positioning, a whole new website, and then also new collateral. So when we came into this year, we had already built that foundation. So last year, we really needed to evaluate the market, our target audiences, and our offerings and messaging. So we wanted to ensure that messaging resonated with our target markets. With the help of Sagefrog, we were able to finish those efforts with time to execute a launch plan last year, largely digital, more of a digital marketing push. So this year, with the budget getting increased, we have a fully integrated plan, but I say the majority of that budget is going to be in-person trade shows, and then also that client forum that I mentioned. But with that integrated plan, we're going to make sure that we have, the content marketing is going to be supported through some digital. We're going to be trying out some LinkedIn campaigns, some thought leadership opportunities, some strategic partnerships that are going to help us, and then some industry trade as well. So I'll turn it over, Catherine. How are you spending your budget this year?
Yeah, so I guess looking back into 2022, we primarily focused the year on spending money on trade shows and events, which kind of is the top of mind for everybody, mainly because they're so expensive, right? So that was where a majority of the budget went. However, as a business, we prioritized spending more towards digital marketing, especially on the tail end of 2022. And that was because, obviously the world has changed over the past few years. So naturally, companies were always wanting to spend the most on trade shows. However, I feel like as the world has shifted the past few years, our marketing needs to shift as well. And we can't ignore the fact that, because people are doing trade shows again, that everybody is actually going to be there in person, and we're going to be getting in front of the right people. So I feel like we need to make sure we're having that blend of our marketing strategy and hitting all different channels of getting in front of people to make sure, we're investing the dollars where we're going to see the highest ROI. So digital marketing was definitely a very large priority for us last year, which is very exciting. And kind of looking into this year, we're actually going to be investing more in market research. So to me, it's very important to better understand the industry and our customers so we can continue to deliver that cutting edge technology, as well as doing more market segmentation and giving them the right content they desire at the right time. So in my opinion, there's no better way to do that than, market research, doing some market analysis, executive roundtables and surveys. So that's an additional spend this year, and one I'm actually very excited about to see the outcomes from. So those are my thoughts. And Mark, how about yourself?
Oh, great answer, Catherine. So our budgets at Sagefrog are increasing. When the pandemic hit in 2020, many businesses cut their budgets, and we actually did the opposite. We increased our budget, including more digital advertising spend, and as a result, we did grow dramatically over this time period. So we're going to take the same approach this year. So far, we are spending more, even with this uncertain economy. So that's the approach we're taking.
Thanks. All right, so let's go ahead and shift gears and start talking about lead gen. And lead generation is always a crucial factor in a marketer's success. So the most qualified leads that marketers received in 2022 came from a combination of search engine optimization, search engine marketing, and paid social. And these digital marketing tactics appear to be the most successful, as more traditional methods of lead gen seem to be on the decline. Referrals are no longer a significant source of leads when compared to their top spot last year. And we're also seeing evidence that trade shows and events are making a comeback, with in-person events more viable this year than during the height of the pandemic. Not to mention, we previously discussed how in-person trade shows and events were a top area of marketing spend in 2022. So at Sagefrog, we see the most qualified marketing and leads come in through organic traffic, referrals, and paid search. And that was for 2022. And we're expecting to see the same for this year as well. But before we get the conversation started with our panelists, attendees, please feel free to send in the chat where you saw the majority of your qualified leads come in last year. All right, so moving over to the panelists, what were your top sources of lead gen in 2022? And why do you believe they were successful? And are you prioritizing those same tactics for your 2023 plans? Catherine, we'll start with you for this one.
Noelle. So the one tactic that we implemented last year that was a huge success was a 2-day virtual event that was offered for free to the industry. And this featured various thought leaders throughout our space. And interestingly enough, this seems to fall as the lowest on this slide for bringing in leads, but for us, it was the highest. And this event actually allowed us to gain interactions with 2,000 people from our target audience across the globe, and provided us with valuable content to repurpose throughout this year. So obviously it's going to be a huge priority in 2023 for repurposing content. And I feel like this event is going to be crucial year on year, not only to generate leads, but to raise awareness of the value our technology provides to the industry as a whole. So this is something that was a huge success for us. It was unique against our competition. No one else is really doing anything this big and broad, and definitely remains top of mind for this year. Carrie Ann, how about yourself? What did you see as a top lead generator for you?
Yeah, thanks, Catherine. That was really exciting too, to kind of hear some of where that's coming from for you this year. As I mentioned before, since last year was really about building the foundation for us, after we launched that website, our top source of lead gen still was referrals for us. We have to, we still have it in our favor, basically, because we're a 40-year-old business, but we're also the leading provider of group policy administration in our space, in our industry. So we're really grateful for those referrals from our clients, our strategic partners. We have industry analysts. And so what we do is make sure that we're strengthening and enhancing those partnerships. What we want to continue to do is, after the website was launched, the new sales collateral, our top source of lead gen, we started to see that shift a little bit. So with the digital spend that we had, as well as organic, and all the content marketing that we were doing, we were starting to see more leads come in through digital. And so, with that interest and that request for demoing our software, we are definitely going to be prioritizing digital and retargeting and social campaigns this year as a big priority for us to kind of even that out. We don't always want it to be in the same place from a lead gen perspective. And like I said, we'll be going to trade shows too. So we'll see a little bit from, we hope to see the lead gen coming from all different areas this time, not just from referrals. Mark, how about you and Sagefrog?
Yeah, I put some of my responses in the chat, but definitely organic, which of course includes content marketing and thought leadership. And then we really do get qualified leads from all sources. So that includes paid, and of course, referrals are always big in professional services, businesses like ours.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And then moving into our final topic for today, emerging marketing tactics for 2023. So comparing shifts in marketing strategies from 2022 to 2023 shows us what changes we can expect to see in business-to-business marketing. So the most dramatic change looks to be in artificial intelligence and automation. 42% of marketers plan to experiment with those techniques this year. And then video marketing and influencer marketing stay strong as new strategies B2B professionals are looking to explore in 2023 as well. But the biggest question with both methods is how marketers will be able to use them effectively in the year ahead. And then another trend we're seeing is toward a mobile-first strategy. And every year, the number of people using mobile devices over desktops or tablets climbs higher and higher, and it's changing how we design our websites and our marketing materials. So panelists, which tactics do you plan to implement in your marketing plan for this year? And which do you think will be the most effective? Carrie-Ann, what do you think?
Yeah, thanks, Noelle. I think for the first part of the question, I'll take, I don't think it's a new strategy for us, but we will be expanding on the inbound marketing strategy through targeted campaigns and thought leadership content. We spent a great deal of time, like I mentioned before, on video creation and content marketing last year. So we want to hit the ground running on those strategies. I think some of the trending strategies that will be extremely effective for some other B2B marketers in 2023 are the mobile first and the virtual events and webinars. So consumers, as we know, are spending more time on their phones and tablets, and similar to our counterparts in B2C, we need to meet them where they're at. So I caveat that though by saying we need to understand our clients and our partners before embarking on those strategies. Are they on desktop? Are they more on mobile? Like for us, they're still very desktop heavy for us. So it's not a strategy we're going into today, but some other questions I'd ask myself are, where do they spend their time? Is it important to understand? It's really important to understand all of that to ensure you are maximizing your marketing efforts and spend, but excited to kind of see some of the other marketers spending some time in those strategies as well. Mark, how about you?
Yeah, I think this particular slide, these results are very consistent with Sagefrog's situation. We established something called Sagefrog Lab, where we test new platforms on Sagefrog first, and then if they're successful, we turn our clients onto them. This year, Sagefrog Labs will include multiple AI technologies and platforms, and we're also continuing to experiment with all kinds of video capabilities and platforms. So that's really what's going on for us.
And on my end, I think in 2023, we'll be investing more of our budget around the social media advertising to help us do more of that segmented marketing to our key customer segments. Like I mentioned earlier, we're spending a lot of money on market research. So we want to be giving people the right content at the right time based on their roles. So this will be important to kind of feed into that overall strategy. And basically, this is a nice way to dip our foot in the water with some account-based marketing as well, which I know is also on this list. Organic social media has actually been very successful for us. So I'm very curious to see how the paid works for our business as well. And it was interesting. The one trend that I was very surprised, was not on here that has been very beneficial in many businesses I've worked in is co-marketing. So I found this to be very effective to grow the business and gain exposure to new organizations because, by co-marketing, you're introducing your customers to people that maybe another company that you're partnering with doesn't know and vice versa. So you're helping each other, and that co-marketing, it's power in numbers. So that's something where I feel like establishing partnerships with other companies you're working with and working together to achieve those goals is something it's been trending, and I think it's going to be more valuable year on year. So I was interested to see that wasn't on here. So I figured I'd just comment on that. Yeah. And, to Carrie-Ann's point as well, the mobile first strategy, it's definitely something where I think industry as a whole from B2B, a lot of people are focused on that. But in the life science industry, we've done research and we know that many people are using desktops versus their mobile to do their research. So for us, it's not something we would trend towards, but I think it's really understanding your market and making the best decisions based on that is going to be the way to identify what's going to work best for you.
Yeah. I would like to second Catherine's comment about the co-marketing. Yeah, I think if you think about it, it's a mega trend in all industries, collaboration. And it makes a lot of sense to share target audiences with your partners. And I think this event is actually a great example of co-marketing. So I definitely wanted to second that. There's a little bit of co-marketing in the influencer marketing area, but I think that I'm so glad you brought that up, and it is surprising how low it is on this particular slide result.
Yeah. All right. So thank you to our panelists for all of your insights on your marketing plans for this year. We'll be back to you in just a few moments for that Q&A. Attendees, also, please feel free to send in any additional questions that you have. We're going to get to the Q&A in just a few minutes. All right, and then attendees, it's also now your time to compete for the $100 Amazon gift card. So how this is going to work, I will ask a question that was covered during today's session, and whoever answers correctly in the chat first will be today's winner. And then the winner can expect to receive the gift card in an email later today. All right, is everyone ready? I'm going to give you a few moments to read the question and then send in your answers. So the question is, according to Sagefrog's 2023 Marketing Mix Report, what was the top area of spend in 2022? Again, I'll give everyone a few moments to send in their answers.
They're listening.
Yep. The first one I'm seeing on my end is Paul P. with events. And the correct answer is in-person events and conferences. So Paul will be in contact later today. Congrats. All right. So then moving into our Q&A session, thank you again to our panel of experts for sharing their marketing insights and plans for the upcoming year. Panelists, as we go through these questions, please feel free to jump in on whichever questions you'd like to answer. And attendees, if we don't get to any of your questions today, please feel free to follow our experts on LinkedIn and reach out to them directly following the event. So we're going to start with a few pre-submitted questions. Then I saw a few questions come in. But what percentage of your revenue should be allocated towards your marketing budget? Who wants to take this one?
Yeah, no, well, I can take this one. So for us, and pretty much I would say in my marketing career, my budgets have been allocated to about 1 to 2% of revenue. In some cases, it gets higher than that, but that's usually the litmus test is, you know, as I'm talking to my executives, like it's usually around that 1 to 2%. However, you know, we also look at it as, you know, we're in a growth business. So we have the plan to grow every single year. And so if the business grows within that year, my budget can increase. And so it's staying together as we adjust that plan, as we grow. And so it could be higher than 1 to 2%, but it's usually around there.
Good. Yeah, that's been our experience too. I wanted to say Sagefrog is actually closer to 5%. I think we like to say that we really do practice what we preach, and we eat our own dog food, which is another cliche to describe what we do. How about you, Catherine?
Yeah, so it's typically 1 to 2% of revenue year on year, but I will say there's instances where if there's more of, you know, enterprise-wide projects like a website or a branding initiative, that would be outside of the general year-on-year budget. So that's typically what I have seen with those larger projects would then be, you know, separate funding allocated towards them. But it seems low. I think most of the average should be closer to that 5 to 7% of revenue, but it typically trends that most businesses give 1 to 2% in B2B. So yeah, read all the reports, but I think it seems to be the average is at 1 to 2%.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors, right? It depends on where the company's at in its life and a lot of other things. Yeah. Okay, great.
Great. So then moving on to our next question. what advice do you have for B2B marketers in a recession? Who wants to kick this one off?
Yes, I could share my thoughts. So I always say, dare to be different, right? In a recession, you're going to have limited budget, maybe not, but maybe you will. And I know in marketing, everybody always wants unlimited budget. So regardless, recession or not, I think it's finding ways to do marketing techniques that are going to help you stand out amongst the competition and leveraging those techniques to help generate revenue, bring in leads, build the brand awareness, and being focused on your goals. But don't just assume that doing what you've always done will always work. If you're limited, pick the top choices and figure out ways to do them differently. So uniqueness is key.
Yeah, and I'll add to that too. So I love that, Catherine. My advice is it's not only just a recession, I think it's just overall, as a marketer, I have 3 areas. Understand your business, strengthen your relationships with your sales team, and then surround yourself with other marketers. First, I always think, regardless of recession or not, understand your business, understand the profit and loss, understand, your business goals, and adjust your plan as the business grows, as it pivots potentially for a recession or COVID or any other changes. And then what you do, what you and your marketing team need to help the company to achieve its goals. So think through that. What do you need to do to help help the company as you understand that? The second part is strengthen your relationship with your sales team. The stronger your relationship, the better you can partner to achieve growth and success in any time of your business, recession or not. Also, it will help you guys be a little bit more effective as well. I know that from experience. And my last one is I always recommend that you surround yourself with other marketers, both inside and outside your company. Share ideas, struggles, achievements, maybe join a committee or take a webinar like you are today, learning new technology or advancements in marketing. You never know where the next idea is going to come from or the support that you're going to get when you sit in a room with your with other marketers as well.
Wow, Carrie-Ann, well said. That was great. And well, here's 100 or more marketers right now that you could surround yourself with. How convenient. Noelle, I just wanted to say that this question on marketing and recession reminds me of one of my earlier comments, which is our pandemic pivot of 2020, how we shifted our marketing spend from live events to digital marketing. And it feels like that too. I think the recession, it's a very different situation than a pandemic, but I feel like some of the strategy and tactics might apply. So yeah. I just wanted to add that in there.
Yeah, it's a great point. Yeah. All right, so I have 2 more pre-submitted questions, and then I promise we'll get to some of the ones in the chat. But do you think social media marketing is effective for B2B companies? What are your thoughts here?
I'll do that one. Okay. I want to say social media, well, it always gets back to your business and marketing objectives. Mm-hmm. I think social media, especially LinkedIn for B2B, is great for awareness. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're more focused, back to your objectives, if you're more focused on lead generation, you may want to shift your investment into other channels. So that's my position on social media. And again, I'm speaking from a business. Our clients are business to business, so that may or may not apply in other markets.
And I think if I could comment on that, I would say it depends where your business is, right? So if you Carrie-Ann, maybe you're not as focused on social media as I would be, because our business is only 10 years old, right? And we've had huge success with organic social, and we've had to be consistent, right? It's one of those things to raise the brand awareness, to use it as a lead gen engine. You need to be consistent, especially in the early days. And then maybe that focus transitions over time when you're a well-known brand. So I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on that, being, I think you said your business is 40 years old, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we definitely use social media. We have LinkedIn and Twitter, and it works well for us. And I'll take another example. So a company I worked for, a B2B company I worked prior to Andessa, it really helped us understand, who is your target? So for us, we're probably not going to get to the decision makers, which is our target audience for some of the other initiatives that we're doing. But for this case, it was the influencers that would be sitting in the room with the decision maker at the time. And that was in another business. And so when we knew our target and we understood who we were advertising or marketing to, that allowed us to be more effective from a marketing perspective. And we did. We went to those sales meetings and we heard, oh yeah, and they're doing this in the community, they're doing this. And it helped with that awareness, but it also really helped be more effective by understanding who that was.
Yeah, you just can't let social media, though. It can consume a lot of time and effort. So you just don't want that to compromise some of your other important marketing channels. I just would put that disclaimer in there.
Yeah.
Don't do it to just do it is basically, I think, what we're all trying to say.
Yeah. Great point. And then Greg asked in the chat, has anyone had great success with LinkedIn advertising? I don't know if anyone can speak to that at all.
I know of a few hundred clients, but some of the other panelists talk about it.
Yeah, so we just, as I mentioned, we just started really heavily investing in digital marketing, and part of that was LinkedIn advertising. But what I have seen to date, it has generated a lot of leads for our business. I'm curious to see how that progresses over time. And I feel like as we do more segmented marketing through those LinkedIn advertisements, I feel like we'll see even greater success. So far it's been successful, but I'm curious to see how, as we have a more strategic alignment on that for the rest of the year, that we see either greater success or not. It'll be something I'll be measuring for sure.
Yeah, Catherine, we're the same as Clue Points too, as well, because we were just kind of dabbling in it. We started at the end of last year and we're coming in it now, but being able to segment the way that you can through LinkedIn, as well, with some really good thought leadership and or just good content, definitely helps, I think, from a lead gen perspective. We also have the Sales Navigator lead for that as well. So our sales team is kind of using it together. So all the information that you can get on the back end is just fantastic.
That's good.
Awesome. Okay. And then next, for pre-submitted questions, we have, what are different approaches you can take to get started with account-based marketing? That's a good one.
Oh, it is. Yeah. You want me to do that one, Noel?
Yeah. You want to get started?
Okay, great. Yeah, ABM is always a great topic, especially in business to business. And I think a great way to get started with the ABM, if you haven't, would be paid LinkedIn campaigns. We think of that at Sagefrog as entry-level ABM or account-based marketing. If you're ready to invest more, you can try ABM software platforms like Rollworks is one. We're a Rollworks partner, and we hosted a webinar on how to get started with ABM called Account-Based Marketing 101. And if Miranda's listening, we can send a link to that recording in the chat. Is Noelle and Miranda, could we get a link of our that webinar we did, Account-Based Marketing 101?
Yep.
Okay, great, thanks.
She just sent it.
That was very fast. Very responsive. Responsiveness is very important in marketing, as most marketers will tell you.
Thumbs up. Does anyone else want to touch
anybody
on
else
this
want to?
question?
Did anybody else want to talk about ABM, or you don't have to? It's just
Yeah, I think, I mean, we're early days, right? Like, I think we're just focused now on that, segmented LinkedIn advertising as an entry point, but it's something where as we start getting that market research in and we better understand our audiences and what information is important to them, I think it's going to be even more impactful to help inform an account-based marketing strategy. So it's always something I've wanted to focus on, but I want to make sure I'm well equipped with the information and tools that I need to be able to do it effectively, and a team internally to support me as well. So I think that's something where with account-based marketing, you want to make sure you have the resources you need to be successful with that. So we're just dipping our toe in the water as it starts for the beginning of the year, but hopefully a more comprehensive plan.
Another thing that's really critical here with ABM is a point that Carrie Ann made earlier, which is sales force alignment. In marketing, we need to be extremely well aligned with sales, and I think ABM really brings that. It makes that point even more so. It's really important to have a great connection and relationship with your salespeople. So good. Noelle, is that you happy with our response for
Yes, thank you. Now we have one more question that actually came in from Paul. So he asked, overall, how important might it be in 2023 to hybridize an in-person event trade show approach to incorporate a digital engagement or content component, especially compared to pre-pandemic?
I love to take that one, the hybrid approach. My opinion, don't do it. If you're going to do it fully virtual or do it fully in person, because if you're going to do a hybrid model, the folks that are attending virtually are not going to have the same experience that the in-person people are going to. Same as if you're on site, you want it to be engaging. You want people to be able to sit in round tables, have open discussions. It's very challenging to do that with a hybrid model as well. I think it's something that we accommodated for as marketers throughout the pandemic because we do what we had to do. But now it's time to get back to, engaging with people in person.
Yeah.
I think the virtual component is huge as well. It allows you to get in front of people from a global audience a little bit easier. As I mentioned, we had very huge success with this, but I think do them separately and do them well versus
That's really good. Yeah, that's definitely, you can tell that's the voice of experience speaking. Because I know when there was a lot of talk that everything needed to be hybrid and it would be hybrid from now on. And I know that you and CluePoints have had success both in in-person events and in virtual events, but it's interesting to note that you keep them separate. And some people may have had different experiences and different approaches, but yeah, I think that's actually hard to argue with, based on all the success you guys have had with those two different formats and approaches, keeping them separate. Carrie Ann, you have any comments on that?
Yeah, same. I 100% agree with you, Catherine, because we had a virtual event for our client forum in 2021. And I think, and I've been to conferences since that have had both. And you really need to focus on one at a time. And I'm talking more from a resource perspective too. Like a virtual event, everybody thinks is a lot easier. I would say from a resource perspective in time, it took more out of our team and more time out of everybody in the organization. Again, extremely effective, but you have to understand it. So to add a hybrid portion of that, I just don't think we could have been successful. And I've sat as an attendee and I on something that was in person and virtual, and technology is what it is sometimes. And so they had to pre-record, they had to use the pre-recordings from the virtual perspective. So you just weren't getting that same experience. Again, you just have to take that into effect, but I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have had successful hybrid events. I would just agree with Catherine, stick with one and do it really well.
Yeah. I mean, archiving some of the content is not a bad idea, right? Like that could be for after the fact. That would be good. And your point on limited resources, especially for small and medium-sized businesses, maybe some of the giant companies can, they have the resources to do all these things at the same time, but most small and medium-sized, we need to pick our battles, right? Yeah, I get it.
Great question.
Yeah.
That is a great question.
That was Paul. Thanks, Paul. Paul's been very active here.
Yeah. And our gift card winner.
That's the same Paul? Wow.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for participating in the Q&A. Before we wrap up for today, we just wanted to take a minute to recap some of your takeaways that our attendees can use while either creating or reevaluating their marketing plan for this year. So since client retention is a top objective for marketers this year, make sure that you're taking the time to build on those relationships, whether it's with additional check-ins or satisfaction surveys. And also, as we learned earlier, in-person trade shows and events are making their return in 2023. So be sure to leave room in your budget for either attending or sponsoring these events. And as marketers, we always emphasize the importance of marketing and sales alignment, like they mentioned earlier. But this year, more than ever, alignment across the entire company is critical. So make sure that your marketing goals are supporting your company's overall goals for the year. And then with the uncertainty of the recession, be willing to take risks and get creative with your marketing to stand out among your competitors. And then by using strategic marketing planning, you can identify what's working and what's not working, and then maximize your budget on what's working to support your primary goals and objectives for this year. So for example, you can increase your digital advertising spend on the campaigns that are proven successful, while your competitors may be playing it safe and decreasing their spend, like Mark had mentioned earlier. All right, so thank you all so much for joining us this afternoon. We're going to give you a little bit of the hour back, but we hope that you have the knowledge and tools that you'll need to approach this year with greater confidence in your marketing plan. And as a reminder, you will receive a recording of today's event along with some additional resources to help with your marketing planning tomorrow. Thanks again and have a great day, everyone.